Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at how we're going to change the color of our rig, and we're going to set up the color. We're going to attach different shader materials onto our objects, such as these two boxes and this ground plane, so that we can have color and add appeal to our scene. Now, in order to add color to your different objects in the scene, what you have to do is that you have to add a new shading material to the object. So in this case, I have two cubes, which are the box that this character will jump on. So these box, they have a material shader attached to them. A material shader is anything that allows you to change the color. It really speaks about the material properties, which gives reflection, color, transparency, so all of those attributes that are associated with an object to give it its color. So in this case, these two boxes, including this ground plane, they share one common shader, and that's a default shader. That default shader is known as the Lambert 1 shader. When you go over into your attribute editor over here, you will notice that you see a Lambert 1 shader right here. Now this Lambert 1 shader is the default shader for any material object that you add into the scene. So when we look here now, we see that the default color is gray. Now if I was to change the color of this Lambert, like for example, I want to change the color of this box here. Let's say I want it blue. And I go over into the attribute editor and I click on the Lambert 1 shader. Now, if I come here and I change the color to green, do you notice what happens? The entire scene is now green. That is because all of the objects that are within this scene, they share the same common Lambert 1 shader. So if I was to go ahead and add a cylinder to this scene, it would also come in green. If I was to add a cone, it would come in green as well. So we don't want a situation like this where all of our objects are sharing the same color. So I'm going to undo, and I'm going to show you how to attach different colors to different attributes, to different objects. So in order to do this now, we have to assign a new Lambert shader to this cube. And in order to do this, what you're going to do, you're going to first make sure that you use the mouse and you select the object. And you can see that the object is selected here. Once the object is selected, you're going to hold down the right click button. When you hold down the right click button, you're going to see this pop-up menu come up. And what you're going to do, you're going to scroll down to assign new material. When you go on to assign new material, you will see a list of shaders that are inside the Maya software. We have the blend shader, we have the so I accidentally clicked on the blend shader. So if you click on a shader, it will assign a new shader to it. So in this case, this is the blend 1 shader. And if I was to go ahead now and click on this color, and let's say I choose red, notice that the color is only associated with this cube. That is because I assigned a new material, which is the blend 1 shader. Now you can name the color of your shaders. In this case, the name of this shader is blend 1. So what I would do now is name it red material. I would use matte for short. Press enter to cancel. That would be the name of the shader. So now I want to assign a new color to this cube. This cube still has the Lambert 1 shader attached to it. So what I would do is hold down right click, click on it, hold down right click, and go down to assign new material. You will notice that the different shading materials come up. So before we added the blend shader, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to assign a new Lambert shader. When I click on the Lambert shader, notice you'll see Lambert 2 come up. And so the default shader in Maya was Lambert 1. Because we added a new shader, that new shader is Lambert 2. So I'm going to change the color, and let's say we're going to turn it to this blue, this light blue color. So you notice that this Lambert 2 has this color which is different from this red material. This Lambert shader has no form of reflectivity when it is rendered, but this cube box will have some amount of reflectivity when light hits it, similar to how you're seeing a little reflectivity on this character here. I'm going to show you how to change the color of this character later, but that is how you assign different colors. So if you're adding a new color, you would have to click on the object and then assign a new material. So in the case of this ground plane, I select the ground plane here, and what I will do, hold down the right click button, go down to assign new material, and this window appears. So I'm going to assign a new Lambert shader to it. So this, when I click on that, notice that it's a Lambert 3 come up. And when I click on the color here, I can just give it this purplish color. See? So we have 3 different colors. So that is how you assign different colors to different materials. So that is it, what as it relates to the environment. Now, let us focus on how we can change the color of this character. The default color of this character is orange. Well, let's say I want a different color of this character rig. Let's say I want it to be yellow. What I would have to do is, if I go to the channel box, you'll notice that the ultimate walker, it comes in with its own, on its own layer. So when I click the V button, notice that the geometry disappears. And as you can see, the third box that is selected is the R button, which stands for reference. So in Maya, instead of saying it's L for lock, they use R for reference, which locks the geometry. So as it stands now, I cannot select the geometry. In order to change the color of this character rig, I have to unlock it. And to unlock this layer, you click in the third box here until you see nothing displayed in it. That will allow me to select the geometry. As you can see, the edge loops are now visible because it is selected. So once this is selected now, I can then go over to the attribute editor over here. And remember, the attribute editor allows you to manipulate the properties of an element inside Maya. So I'm able to select this, and I'm going to go across to the shader that is attached to it. And as you can see, a Fong shader is attached with an orange color. I can then click here and change the color. So I'm going to choose a yellow color. Can even play with some values down here to change the darkness of that yellow. And so that is how you change the color of this yellow character rig. When you're finished, you go back to the channel box and click it back to R so that it is locked, because you don't want to select the geometry when you're animating this character.